A man named Richard Rayleigh is running for mayor of New York and has billboards plastered everywhere. But the man has enemies, and when Spider-Man swings past one of his billboards, a 10-foot man smashes through it and sends 2 painters plummeting down to Earth. We're reading every Spider-Man ever, and this is Spectacular Spider-Man issue 1, Lo, This Monster. Spider-Man is able to catch the painters and do battle with the large monster, but the monster is quicker than he looks, can climb walls by digging his hands in, and is very, very strong. Even though Spidey can dodge him, the monster is throwing rubble that will crush the people below, and Spider-Man's attention turns to that instead, slowing it down with his webbing. His attention is then drawn to the 2 painters from before, and he saves them from falling from the ledge that he placed them on. By the time he turns back to the monster, the 10-foot man is gone, which is probably good, because Spider-Man was down to his last web cartridge. Back as Peter and on his way to the Bugle, our hero is stopped by Harry and MJ. They give him a button in support of Rayleigh, and they're both huge fans. They even invite Peter to a big dance held in Raleigh's honor. At the Bugle, Jonah Jameson is also a fan of Rayleigh and is backing the politician with his newspaper. And Betty Brant is a fan too and urges Peter to watch a speech by him. And so Peter does, gathering with the others around a TV. In the speech, Rayleigh is angry. This monster that attacked was a declaration of war from the underworld against law and order. And Richard Rayleigh will stand against them no matter what it takes. The more they attack him, the harder he'll fight back. But elsewhere, backstage after the speech, Rayleigh is much less composed. He's ranting and raving about all the sheep blindly following him and how soon he'll have true power. The next day, Peter arrives at Gwen's house to take her to the dance. There, they're met by Mary Jane as an usher and guided to their seats to listen to Jonah Jameson give a long meandering speech. But it finally ends and Peter and Gwen can finally dance with each other, except Peter's spider sense goes off. He notices that the light fixture above them is beginning to crack and will come down on everybody. With no time to change, Peter rips out a power panel to switch off all the lights and climbs the wall in his civilian garb. People spot him but can't see who it is, and Peter's able to web up the fixture and create a shield to hide his identity before the crowd below can locate a flashlight. Spider-Man has saved the day, unless you ask Jonah, who is convinced that Spidey was trying to kill them all. And Peter's secret remains, even when Gwen finds web on his suit. After all, web fell on everybody there. Elsewhere, Richard Rayleigh hears the news about the dance and he's mad? It turns out that he was the one that arranged for the roof to cave in to make it look like the underworld was out to get him. And also, in a secret basement, he has that 10-foot monster man from the beginning of the story. He'd commissioned a scientist to modify a common thug and sent him on an anti-Rayleigh rampage to drum up sympathy. After losing to Spider-Man, Rayleigh's requested further modifications. Now the monster has increased strength and a remote control to command it. It's the perfect weapon in case Spider-Man continues to be a bother. The next day, the day after the dance, Jonah Jameson is extolling the virtues of Rayleigh at the Gentleman's Club. Captain Stacy is less convinced. There's something off about the guy. Jonah will be interviewing Rayleigh soon, and he encourages Stacy to join him to see who he really is. But Captain Stacy thinks he'll get more out of the records, detailing the potential mayor's past. Facts, yells Jonah. Who needs facts when the vibe is right? And so he goes to interview Rayleigh and casually mentions how his silly friend is doing some silly research into Rayleigh's past. But a man of character like Rayleigh has nothing to fear, right? But after the interview, with everything to fear, Rayleigh activates his monster, giving it a simple command: kill Captain Stacy. Elsewhere and later, Peter is about to drive Gwen away on a date when the monster arrives ready to fulfill its mission. Peter's able to get Gwen to go and call the police while he becomes Spider-Man and he swings to the rescue. He's able to knock the monster down and hold the monster back long enough for Captain Stacy to get away, and learns in the process that the monster is following some kind of order. Spider-Man then angers the monster enough that it forgets its mission and focuses only on chasing Spidey. The monster climbs up the wall after him, grabbing handfuls of bricks to pull himself up, and chases our hero across the city. But when they arrive at a poster for Rayleigh's campaign, the monster freezes, just for a moment, and it gives Spider-Man an idea. Spider-Man lets the monster chase him all the way to the home of Richard Rayleigh, where he spots a control device in Riley's hand, a device he uses when the monster arrives. Spider-Man confirms his suspicion. Rayleigh is controlling the monster. But Rayleigh is using the controller too much, trying to have too much power over his monster, and the safety guard short circuits. The monster is free of Riley's control and it kills Rayleigh with one blow. And now, with his master dead, he wants to go on a crime rampage across the city. Meanwhile and elsewhere, Jonah Jameson hears about the monster attack and races across town to Riley's house for the story of the century. Before he can get there, Spider-Man is keeping the monster still, stopping it from entering the city. He's delivering punches and avoiding them in return, but he's getting tired, and the monster isn't. Spider-Man figures that the control chip, while deactivated, is probably the monster's weak spot, and he puts his all into one last punch to the neck. And it works. The monster falls down, dead. As Spider-Man flees the scene at the sound of sirens, the police and Jonah take in the scene before them. It seems that the monster and Spider-Man have attacked Rayleigh and crushed him under rubble. Jonah is shocked, adamant that, even in death, Richard Rayleigh's fearlessness shone like a beacon, and to prove it, Jonah's going to write the greatest editorial of his career. And of course, he's going to blame Spider-Man. Thanks for watching. You don't have to wait a week because tomorrow we get an expanded origin for our hero. But while we wait for that story, here's a fun fact about this one. The story you just heard gets retold in Amazing Spider-Man 116 through to 118. In colour this time, with some notable changes. It effectively wipes this story out from canon, placing these events later in Peter's life. The new story even gives the monster a name. It's just not a very good one.